Welcome to your Afro Crowns styling masterclass. Today we're going to break down how to do a braid and incorporate it into different hairstyles. My name is Nakawunde and I'm going to demonstrate on my type 4 natural hair, which has been stretched slightly with braids. My hair is already moisturized, but if you need to use any products, please feel free to do so. So the first step when I style is sectioning my hair. It keeps my partings neat and my life just easier if I clip away any hair that I don't want in the braid. I use a tail comb to split my hair into two and then into quarters. I tend to use a combination of both clips and hairbands. Always prepare your hair first so it's ready to braid. I like a side parting, so I'll take a little hair from this quadrant and again clip away the rest. I'm going to demonstrate this technique a few times, so don't worry if you don't catch it on the first round. So this is the amount of hair that we'll begin with. So I like to start off with a triangular section. That will be where I start my braid. For now, I'll just put this to one side and take my tail comb to split this part into two. So this technique is really great for beginners. Dividing the hair in the middle is a good guideline which can help you keep the braid symmetrical. Now I'll take the first chunk we put away, separate that into 3 equal strands and we'll begin. Before I talk about the braid itself, I just want to focus on how my fingers move. I always pinch the middle strand with my thumb and index finger. I then smooth out the outer strand and again pinch that middle strand. So when it comes to adding more hair, I add a new section to the outer strand and slide my index finger underneath it. Then again I go to pinch that middle strand. So here is the outer strand of the other side. I smooth it out with my free hand, gather a new section and slide my finger underneath. I'm then ready to pinch that middle strand again. If your hair is long or really thick, you might need some assistance, so I stick out my pinky finger just to keep the hair separated. So when I'm creating a new section, I only pick up hair up until that middle guiding line that we put in earlier. I'll then slide my index finger underneath in the same way and go to take that middle strand. I repeat that on the other side. If you're not using a mirror, just feel for where your finger should pass. Now my right hand is free because I've just let go of the right strand. I'm going to add hair and cross it over. And each time I'm adding roughly the same amount on either side, even though each section may get slightly larger as I move along the braid. I'll slide my right index finger underneath towards the middle section that I can take hold of with my thumb helping me. See how my finger acts like a hook and just grabs that middle strand. Take your time gathering a new section to add. Try to pick up a horizontal section of hair on the same side and add it to the section, then cross that over to become the new middle strand. Remember to use your free hand to make the braid pretty. Outside over the middle is the technique, and each time you're going to add hair from the respective side into the braid. Smooth it out as necessary. Finger underneath, take the middle section, add hair. The finger goes underneath, takes the middle section. Go as slowly as you find comfortable, there is no need to rush. One hand works while the other hand holds. Once I get to the end, I will just do a regular 3-strand braid. You can always fluff out your braid if needed. I tend to just stick my finger between and gently pull to adjust. So we've reached the end of the braid and we're finally ready for our first hairstyle. Unclip all the other parts and gather it all into a low side ponytail using a hairband. If your hair is shorter or you want more length, you can always add extensions. Additionally, you can put your hair in the middle or even a high puff, whichever you prefer. But that's look number 1 done, and let's move on to look 2. I've divided my hair into 2 in the back and we're going to work on 1/2 at a time. If you want to divide your hair into 2 and have a guideline, you can, but this time I won't, and I'll show you why in a minute. I'll take that first section and divide it into 3 the same way, Regardless of whether you're left or right-handed, you just want to cross the outside strands over the middle strand one at a time, so start on whichever side you feel comfortable. This top section, I'll add hair to it, slide my finger underneath and go and grab that middle section. And this bottom section, I'll pick up some new hair to add to it. Take your time, be gentle if you have any tangles. Slide my finger underneath and go to grab that middle section that's sitting above my index finger. Slide my finger underneath, and because now I'm working with more hair, my little finger will really assist me to separate the section. Grab hold of it, slide my finger underneath and go to grab that middle section again. Here, the bottom section and the new piece that I want to add are all blended, but it's there, just make sure to grab all of it. So what you'll notice now is how I'm taking more hair from the top section when I add it to the braid and less hair from the bottom section nearer to my ear. This second look is more like a crown braid, so I want it to follow the perimeter of my hair. So I might add a little more hair from the top and less from the bottom, but the technique remains the same. The braid will follow wherever your hands lead it to. You can just twist your hand by a few degrees to make it easier for the other hand to grab that middle section. I use my free hand to smooth out the hair. With natural hair, it's normal for your hair to be hugging on itself as you braid, but detangling before starting will help the braiding process be easier. This will help you have the best look possible when it's finished. Braiding techniques are mostly repetitive, so as long as you have the right rhythm for the braid, you will get it. It just takes a little bit of practice. Repeat the pattern until you get to the nape of your neck. And don't worry if you have any lines, I'll show you what to do with those in a minute. I stick my little finger out to help separate the hair, while my other hand gets rid of any tangles. Your hands will take turns in working and holding the hair. This hand takes the hair and then it will just keep still and hold it in place. Meanwhile, this hand is booked and busy, smoothing out the hair, finding a new section to add and preparing it to be crossed over. And your free hand always adjusts what's necessary. I'll just speed this up so we can go on to the other side. Then I just braid it down to the end. And there we have half done. So how did you find that? I hope you're practicing along with me. Oh, and I said I'll show you what I do with those lines. I hide them. It's so simple, just pull the braid to cover it. If you don't like having natural edges as much as I do, you can always gel those baby hairs, but I prefer to just go over them lightly with a soft brush or my comb and leave it. Now moving on to this side. Remember, the same principles apply. So any 3-strand braid has a right, middle and left section. Cross the first 3 strands over one another and then start adding hair to the outer strand. As you braid, just find your rhythm and keep the repeating pattern going. Sometimes I use my other fingers just to help keep the hair separated if I need to detangle or smooth out the piece. You can of course use different fingers to help you braid. Use whatever you feel comfortable with. But what I would say is try to keep the same pattern as you braid. It will stop you from getting confused. And I'm gathering hair in a line from that middle parting. If you notice as I'm doing this, I'm keeping my hands relatively close to my scalp. This helps to keep the braid tighter, but just don't overdo it and make it too tight. The further away you position your hands, the looser the braid will be. The French braid is also like an inside-out cornrow, in that each time you cross the hair, you want to add a new section of hair to it. That's how it will lay flat on your head. By now I think you understand the technique, just make it your own. You can even use your middle finger to take the hair. Or hold the strands between 2 fingers. But each time I find it easiest to slide my index finger underneath the section. two things to note is I'm going slowly, so please take your time, and also I'm smoothing out any bumps with my free hand anytime I come across them. You will have more hair in your hands the further down the braid you go, so try to tighten the grip as necessary, but remember not to make it too tight. It's always easier to hold the hair wherever possible with one hand. Then your free hand is able to add any extra hair into the braid, detangle it, or smooth out the hair as necessary, or even move your mirror when you need to. Feel free to use any styling products that you prefer. That can be a gel to help lay down your edges or hold the flyaways while you braid. Depending on your texture, you might prefer to use a product to help you with grip as well. But my main key is detangle the section before you start. It will just make things easier as you go along. So I started this look when my hair was stretched from a braid out, but equally you can try this when your hair has been blow dried or straightened. I would advise beginners to do it when your hair is dry as opposed to when it's wet, because with texture for hair, you might have some shrinkage, and dealing with that while you're learning how to braid can just overcomplicate the process. But if you get to a point when you want to try it, you can do a braid out by doing this style when your hair is wet, so that as it dries into the braided pattern, it will give you a different texture once you unravel it. What I love about natural hair is the texture and versatility, so experiment and see which you prefer. When you have no more hair to add in, braid the hair like a normal 3-strand braid. So there we have all our hair braided into 2. If this is your first time trying French braids, don't worry if it doesn't look perfect. As long as you get the technique, next time you try, it will look better. So now I'll show you some styling options. The first one you can do is to cross the 2 braids over each other at the back. I then like to tuck each end back on itself and use a bobby pin to secure it into place. And I'll do the same on the other side. So this hairstyle is great for work. I used it a lot when I was in the corporate world. Again, I don't really fuss about my edges, so I'll just use the comb to brush them back a little bit and then move any hair to cover any gaps that I have. If you want to lay down any flyaways, you can always use a hairspray and cover your hair for a few minutes so it sets into place. So a second styling option for this is to have 2 pigtails. All I've done is unraveled the ends of the braid and secured it with a hairband. And another option for this is to create some buns at the back using your hair or some extensions, whatever you prefer to make the bun as full as you'd like it to look. I like to just roll my hair around and then secure it with a bobby pin. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. This hairstyle is really easy to do, so you can use it for everyday activities like running some errands, or if you have a nice brunch with your girlfriends. You can see me touching this a lot because I want them to be equally balanced on both sides of my head. So let's move on to the final look. This time my starting piece is a lot smaller, so if you want you can put your guiding line in the middle of the section. When you're braiding closer to your hairline, remember to be gentle. Have mercy on your edges, we don't want them to break. Remember, left over the middle, right over the middle for a normal braid. So when you're adding hair, you just add hair from the left to the left strand, cross it over the middle strand, then add hair from the right to the right strand and cross it over the middle strand. Each time you add hair to the braid, try to make it roughly the same amount from either side. This helps to keep the braid even and symmetrical. I've definitely got a lot more knots on this section, but each time I come across one, I'm just using my free hand to help detangle it gently. How much hair you add each time doesn't really matter, but the smaller the section, the more intricate the final braid will look. It may take a bit of time and a little bit of practice, but you absolutely can do this on yourself. Sometimes I find twisting my hair to the end is also easier, so I'll just do that here. So I take down the clip from the back section and I'm going to tuck the end of this braid underneath and secure with a bobby pin. And I'll just hide it underneath my hair. Then take down the other clips and play with my hair until I like how it sits. Once you're happy with your technique, you can be as creative as you want for each hairstyle. This hairstyle will be great for date night, or you can add some accessories and wear it to a special event. So which look is your favourite and which one are you going to try? That's the end of today's masterclass, but I have more things coming up on Afro Crowns. I hope you can join me as we explore the beauty and versatility of natural hair.